Hello, hello my friends, welcome back to the ups and downs for Star Trek Picard Season 2. Before I get into anything, it is Picard Mania over here. Go and check out our 10 Things You Never Knew About the La Sirena, which dropped this week, and go and check out, if you haven't seen it already, our breakdown of the secret trailer that was released. It's on our channel, go and have a look at it, it's gonna be deadly. You are all awesome. Thank you so much for the support that you have shown this year. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Because of you, the channel continues to grow and it allows us to keep making these shows for you. So thank you. If you haven't already, hit like, hit subscribe. It is so massively appreciated. I am so excited to be going through this episode for you. Now, you know how this works. We're going to go through everything that we liked and give it an up. Everything that we didn't like, we're going to give it a down. We are going to go for all the ups and downs for Star Trek Picard Season 2, Episode 1, The Stargazer. Now, this is an episode that is full of rather a lot, so there's a lot going on in this season opener. First of all, up, number 1 is back. There's no way that was not getting an up from me. The whole episode, it opens with, of course, that, we go 48 hours back. So I'm going to come to that at the end of the episode. It's a strong cold open, but I'm going to come to that a little bit later on because there's a bit to discuss there. And of course, those opening credits as well. Love how they've been updated. It both has, of course, that first Picard theme that we know from last year, but also it's been changed up a little bit to sort of suggest how the season's going to change up a little bit as well. So go on then, I guess an up from me as well. So that's 2 ups and we're only at the opening credits. Not bad, Picard, not bad. We all know we love a bit of the Irish on this channel. The fact that Orla Brady's name is in the opening credits, we love, but also Sláinte, Orla Brady, Sláinte right back at you. Because to hear Irish in this show was just a little bit mwah. They're doing their cheers, they're sitting there at night. We have Nostravia, we have Sante, we have Sláinte, we have L'chaim. We also have Cheers Big Ears, which is something that has been said to me in my life as well. That is an up from me, specifically the Sláinte, but also the Cheers Big Ears thing as well. It's a beautiful scene between the two, and therefore, it's going to seem a bit strange that my first down of the episode actually comes from this scene. Poor Jamie McShane has been killed off screen. Zhaban is just, oh, it's been a year and a half since that thing, oh yeah, poor Zhaban, oh yeah. Nothing? Did Zhaban not deserve a little bit better than that? I thought that was a bit poor form. So he's just not back, and it's not explained. So that was a down from me, I have to say, but in a scene that I loved, because seeing Laris and Picard come closer together like this, did anyone else kind of go, Picard, you absolute gobshite, when he wouldn't kiss her? And I love, although she is not Coat Mulat, she doesn't exactly practice absolute candor, she is still, she's still a Romulan. She's kind of like, the next morning they're talking about, she's like, I'm too old for awkward. It's gonna be awkward. I'm too old for awkward. I'm not dealing with that. Go off now and do your speech. The fact that we get so much of Laris in this episode is just wonderful, I have to say. There is something I'll come to later on, but overall, Laris was just perfect in this episode for me. Now, we get the speech that Picard gives at the Academy, which introduces Elnor as the first full-blooded Romulan cadet in Starfleet history. And I actually had a moment of, oh yeah, you know what I mean? You just kind of, at some point, you just sort of assume that nearly every race in the galaxy has joined Starfleet at some point or another. But of course, no, Elnor is the first Romulan. It's lovely to see everyone back. Great to see Raffi back and with her billet restored. So we have Commander Raffi Musiker. I have waxed lyrical and will continue to wax lyrical on how much I enjoy the new uniforms. I love the suggestion of the All Good Things endgame, and yet it still has those division colors with the colors across the shoulder. I have to say, I really did like that. But I also like the hard cut that we get to the La Sirena. Now, in yet another example of my theorizing shot straight out the window, I was there thinking, oh no, La Sirena's been assimilated. No, Seven has just knocked it to crap. And I'm giving an up to Emmett the hologram. Now, the holograms for me last year, there was a little bit of hit and miss. Overall, I liked them. The Irish one grew on me. Hated him in the first appearance. Really liked him in the second one. That moment where he goes, ah, it was lovely. But no, I think they elected to keep the best one. So yes, Emmett the hologram, you know, turn off hologram safety procedures, Seven and him knocking about these intruders. Really, really enjoyed that. So Seven, of course, is back with the Fenris Rangers. And actually, just as a little kind of asterisk on this, if you get a chance, Audible has released, it's called No Man's Land, and it's a 1.5-hour audio drama starring Michelle Hurd and Jerry Ryan. And it sort of bridges the gap between seasons 1 and 2 for those characters. It doesn't take anything away from the episode if you haven't heard it, but I did get a little bit of, there was a couple of kind of things said in this episode which alluded to that. So I would definitely recommend, if you get a chance, have a listen to that now in the next week. As I said, 1.5 hours, won't take you very long at all. Seven has been firmly established as she's back with the Fenris Rangers. She is now the captain of La Sirena, because of course, Rios has another job. But before we meet Rios in this episode, we go off to the Beta Quadrant and we catch up with Soji and we catch up with Jurati, and also we see a race we have not seen in quite a long time in Star Trek. We see the Deltans, and that's an up from me. The Deltans, of course, being the race that Lieutenant Ilia was a member of in Star Trek The Motion Picture. Well known for their sensuality, especially when one approaches Jurati at the bar, and in accordance with the Deltan race is very forward. Now Jurati, who is a few sheets to the wind at this point, doesn't really handle the flirting very well, and so that leads me to a down. We get this massive exposition dump coming from Jurati, and that is, it's very frustrating whenever there's an exposition dump that's as obvious as this, and this was a little bit like, oh, here's my entire history straight away to kind of tick this. Yes, I've been cleared off the murder. No, I've broken up with Rios. That's not happening. Okay, Grant. It was way too obvious. It was a bit like, ha 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 ha, do you remember these things from season 1? Yeah, don't worry about them. And oh, it was a bit heavy-handed for me. Now, so I must say, I didn't love that. Did not love that at all. But of course, she gets the communique from Rios. There's a lovely little exchange between her and Soji where, you know, they talk about drunk dialing your ex, and raise your hand if you're guilty of drunk dialing your ex. No judgment from me, we've all done it. But then what we do get is the reveal of the absolutely beautiful Stargazer. That is an up from me. This episode is an episode all about ship porn on top of everything else. I loved it. I had a little tear in my eye because there's so many references to I'm getting ahead of myself. Stargazer, absolutely beautiful. Next up goes straight away to Elnor is assigned to the USS Excelsior. Of course, Raffi's on the Excelsior as well. You cannot hear that name and not feel just that history of Star Trek. The Excelsior, after the Enterprise, is one of the most well-known names in all of Star Trek. Not necessarily because it was a hero ship, but because, of course, it wasn't. It wasn't Voyager, for example. It wasn't the Defiant. All the way back, Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, The Great Experiment, and of course, the references to Spock throughout the episode, it was... This is an episode heavy on Trek lore, I must say. So, Elnor being assigned to the Excelsior, another up from me. Now, I could easily go through and up all of the references in this, but I am going to keep a little bit for citation observations. So, if you're thinking, oh my god, that should have got an up, don't worry. I could sit here and I could give about 25 ups in the entire episode for that, but otherwise, we'd be here till Sunday if I did that. So, please don't think that I'm ignoring anything. Citation observations is coming. Now, we knew this scene was going to get an up from me. Of course this scene is getting an up from me. Picard and Guinan. It is just wonderful to see the two of them interacting again. Now, of course, their relationship is slightly different, and there was a hesitation when Guinan, you know, they explained the fact that she has, of course, it's been 30 years, she is aged, by Elorians can choose to age if they want to or not. I did look toward this side of the screen because I thought that was a bit kind of like, you could have just said nothing, to be honest. It wasn't enough for me to down it, but it was a bit like, it wasn't really a necessary line, in my opinion. You might have a totally different opinion, that's absolutely fair. But yes, overall, this scene, what a wonderful up that this scene was. Just seeing the two great actors interacting with each other again, these two characters, because in Star Trek, in all of Star Trek, there's not a lot of characters that Picard would have that less than professional, relaxed relationship with. But Guinan is one of those characters. And so for the pair of them to sit there necking some Zorian brandy, it just felt like, yeah, it felt like a little bit of just bringing Picard's humanity to the front. There is an allusion to the fact that he is synth now. There's a lot of references to the fact that, you know, he's pushing a century in age. And I like this. They're not shying away from that without hanging a lampshade on it either. The whole scene is gorgeous. Yeah, it's one of those things, I'm not really sure what else to say. I bloody loved it. Now, back aboard the Stargazer, we're sitting at this temporal doohickey. I say temporal, Hawking radiation time, yeah, that's fine, it's fine. And of course, we get this communique comes through, help us, Picard. Having seen, of course, the cold open, we know who's coming through this, this fissure in space. Seven and Rios are together again, as the La Sirena had already experienced this. The Stargazer is sitting there. And this calls for a, you know, a McCoy-esque reserve activation clause. Basically, the Admiral rocks up to Picard's house and says, we kind of need you on this one, Jean-Luc. And there is a down from me. This is a down at Jean-Luc Picard. You absolute arse. How dare you leave without saying goodbye to Laris? No, that is enough for me to down. That is a down. It's a down specifically at Jean-Luc. You do not walk out on Laris like that. You git. Now, in seemingly record time, he arrives on the shuttle on the Stargazer, which is, hey, okay, that's a fast shuttle. There's a lot of kowtowing, a lot of Admiral on the bridge, and it's all a bit cool and wonderful, and he's back on the Stargazer, and they send the communique. This is Admiral Picard, I'm answering your hail. And we get this new Borg mystery. Now, this new ship, first of all, is terrifying. Obviously, they love their shapes, do the Borg. And the arrival of this new, I say new type of queen. I like the fact that the queen has adopted a cape. I'm a fan of capes, I'm not going to lie to you. I understand them wanting to reach out and have an alliance with the Borg. The Borg are basically asking to join the Federation. So, I mean, I'm absolutely on Seven's side here. We do not take the Borg at their word. It does not happen. They're the Borg. And yet, at the same time, they are right. They could be one of the most powerful allies the Federation has ever had. This, to me, speaks to Starfleet as a whole. Now, what we saw last season was Starfleet was not so much the rosy, everyone's at peace, everyone's wonderful place that we had kind of known during the TNG era. And that really began with the Dominion War going forward into this. So, the fact that they're even considering an alliance with the Borg is actually not that shocking to me. I don't think it's a good idea, but I don't think it's that shocking. They do need powerful allies. Having said that, it goes about as well as you'd expect, and then, you know, she starts plugging herself into the ship. Now, the great bait and switch is that in the cold open, we see she is shooting all of these officers as they come through. Turns out she's only stunning them. So as it stands, we don't necessarily know that she's trying to kill anyone. She does say she needs power, and again, not massively shocking that Borg tech has been installed in Federation starships. Hello, Voyager. She's exploiting that straight away, and I don't blame her. You know, I would, quite frankly. If I knew I had a back door in I go. Yes, listen, I don't feel strongly over either way. I do like the new look of the Queen. I like the fact, well, we knew she had those kind of tendrils anyway, so yeah, I'm on board with the new look. Then it starts to get wee bit like, what? When Non Generate Rien plays. Now, I know this, obviously it's performed by Edith Piaf, I know the song, but I know it as the trigger in Inception. I'm gonna up it, A, because it's a nice song, but also because things start to get a bit metaphysical and a bit confusing after this. You know, are we dreaming? Are we awake? So it introduced that question. This could go nowhere. This could be nothing. Me including this up could be about as important as the song itself. But I like that, and also any reference to Inception makes me happy. And then, of course, they order the self-destruct of the Stargazer. You know, and then we get the Queen looks directly at Jean-Luc and says, look up. Which is, of course, what Jean-Luc's mum said to him when he was a little boy. Look up. look up at the stars. The Stargazer, the name of the episode. Is any of this really happening? I like that question. I do like that question going into the rest of the season. Now, of course, I do need to mention that last scene. In a way, this is a scene that we have seen since nearly the first trailer, and it of course is the arrival of John de Lancie as Q, if you thought I wasn't going to up that. Now this I like. He arrives as de-aged Q from Star Trek The Next Generation, and this one, oh, you're a bit further along, allow me to fix that. We get the finger snap. I'm sold. Absolutely fine with me. To be honest, I didn't even need the explanation, but I like the way they handled that. I think they handled it a little bit better than explaining Guinan's age away. So, for me, love it. There's just a couple of lines of dialogue, but it's enough to get me properly excited for the rest of the season. And obviously, we know, totalitarian state, all crazy, fun. There's no Laris. This does not make me happy. Laris does mean a new day, though, in Romulan. I like it. I like it. Now, that covers just about everything in the episode, so I invite you to take a trip with me for the first time in Picard Season 2 to Cetacean Observations. Oh, the pad is back. So, we have, of course, the Stargazer itself. We have the Akira-class USS Avalon at the very beginning. Hello! Gold Enterprise C model on a shelf. Earl Grey cold. The Many and the One written by Spock. Of course, we know what this is a reference to. I also like how Picard says it's basically a, live a little instruction. We have the tablet from The Reckoning. Now, we at Trek Culture Towers, we have been theorizing about this since it first arrived in the trailer. Now, we get nothing. It's just there in this episode. It may be something, it may be nothing. Why has it been moved from Bajor? Who knows? Now, we have the Promelian battle cruiser in a ship in a bottle. We have the Enterprise D painting over the mantle. Hawking radiation is emanating from this anomaly in space. Hawking, brief history of time. Yay, time travel. Deltons from the motion picture. We have Rios says, make it so, on the bridge of the Stargazer. Back at Starfleet Academy, we have the USS Hikaru Sulu, the USS Grissom. Picard talks about updating the Kobayashi Maru. Elnor is assigned to the Excelsior, as is Raffi, and then we have them all standing in front of these panels of different ships. We see the Excelsior, the original Stargazer, what looks to be Voyager, what looks to be the Shenzhou, what looks to be the Reliant, what looks to be a Constitution-class ship, and of course what looks to be a Galaxy-class ship as well. Guinan has her bar in 10 Forward Avenue, outside which there is a Cardassian column, definitely Cardassian architecture. They share a drink of Saurian brandy. They reference the fact that his heart, be it flesh or artificial or synthetic, of course we've known since TNG Season 2 Samaritan Snare that Picard has an artificial heart, long before he was ever a synth. At the anomaly, I mean, I'm still getting tingles about this. The Stargazer is there. We get Akira-class ships rock up. We get an Excelsior-class ship rocks up. We get an Inquiry-class ship rocks up. We get, for the first time in live-action Star Trek, Luna-class ships rock up. That is right. Now, whether the Titan is among them, we don't know, but definitely the Luna-class ship has now been established in live-action Star Trek. I'm so excited, words fade me there for a second. Now, I don't know which one to go with first, how excited I am for this one other class of ship or these 4 other classes of ship. So, I'm going to go for the one first. The Sovereign class has appeared on screen for the first time ever in a television series, not including the model from Remembrance. Sovereign class, the Enterprise frickin' E. Now, whether it's the Enterprise E itself, it probably isn't at this stage, but the Sovereign class has been shown out. We've been waiting for this since Nemesis. And if you thought that that was everything, to all of my friends who play Star Trek Online, we have the Andromeda class, the Sutherland, the Gagarin, and the Reliant confirmed in canon in live-action Star Trek. That's amazing on its own, and it says to me that we're going to get an Odyssey class. That's what it says to me. This is amazing. This is a big, big deal. And the last Cetacean observations I have is that lovely Q click in the last scene. This episode was a lot. There was a lot going on in this first episode of season 2 of Picard. I loved it. I will be watching it again because there is absolutely no way on earth that I got everything on the first watch. So please, if you saw something that I didn't call out there, drop it into the comments below because I'm going to be going through this with a fine-tooth comb. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us again for this season of Ups and Downs for Picard. Now, before I go, to take things quite serious for a minute, we all know what is happening at the moment over in the Ukraine. I want to express our solidarity here to our friends over there. Please, please stay safe. Please look after yourself, your friends and family. And more so than I've ever said that before, I really, really mean that. To everyone out there, Jetidovo I prosvitati, live long and prosper. Thank you so much.